There is a $2 rock sitting in every hardware store right now. It pulls moisture directly out of the air. It drops indoor humidity by 40% within 48 hours. No electricity, no filter, no monthly cartridge, no technician. You place it in a corner and walk away. Roman soldiers carried this rock through mountain campaigns to keep their gear dry. Scottish crofters packed it into stone cottages for 400 years to stop the wall rot that killed their neighbors. Indigenous communities across the American Southwest used it to preserve food through summer monsoon seasons that would otherwise destroy every stored grain. A $300 electric dehumidifier runs a compressor consuming 300 to 700 watts of electricity every hour it operates. A $2 chunk of rock does the same thing using nothing but physics. Then a $15 billion industry decided you should never know its name. They did not stop using it because it failed. They buried it because it worked without them. What cannot generate recurring revenue must disappear. This is the story of the oldest dehumidifier humanity ever discovered, and the industry that spent decades making sure you would walk right past it. Welcome to Lost Skills. If this kind of buried knowledge matters to you, hit subscribe and the bell. This is where we open the vaults they locked shut. The story does not begin in a lab. It begins in the salt mines of the Khewra Range in what is now northern Pakistan, approximately 3,200 years ago. Miners working deep inside those caverns noticed something that required no explanation. The air inside the salt chambers was different. Dry, clear. Equipment stored inside the mine walls did not rust. Leather did not rot. Food cached in the salt rooms survived months without spoilage, while identical food stored outside decomposed within days. They did not have the word hygroscopic. They did not need it. They could see the result. Salt pulled water out of the air around it. The mine walls stayed dry. Everything stored near salt stayed dry. This observation spread across trade routes into Egypt, into Persia, into the Roman supply system, and into the Scottish Highlands, carried not as scientific theory, but as practical knowledge passed from one working generation to the next. In 1347, the Black Death moved through Europe and killed 1/3 of its population. Historians studying mortality records found communities living near active salt works showed dramatically lower death rates than surrounding towns of identical size. Not because salt cured plague, because lower ambient humidity reduced the survival rate of airborne pathogens indoors. The dry air salt created around stored goods was the same dry air that made bacterial survival harder in sleeping quarters. The connection was documented in regional mortality records preserved in the Basel City archives. No one funded a study. No one needed to. The evidence was in the bodies. By 1850, households across northern Europe kept salt blocks in cellars and root storage rooms, anywhere prone to the damp that spread rot and ruined preserved food. When the block absorbed enough moisture, you dried it in the sun for an afternoon and placed it back. The same block served a household for years. The knowledge was so ordinary that no one thought to write instructions. You simply knew. The way you knew to hang herbs upside down or to bank a fire before sleeping. Then the 20th century arrived, and everything ordinary became a product. The first electric dehumidifier entered the American consumer market in 1938. By 1960, the appliance industry had successfully repositioned indoor humidity as a technical problem requiring a technical solution. By 1980, the market was generating billions. By 2024, the global dehumidifier market was valued at over $15 billion annually, projected to reach $23 billion by 2031, according to Grandview Research Market Analysis. That number requires one specific customer, not a customer who places a $2 rock in a corner and forgets about humidity forever. A customer who purchases a unit for $300, replaces filters every 3 months, pays the electricity bill every month, and calls a technician when the compressor fails after 4 years. That cycle, repeated across millions of households, is worth $15 billion. A salt block breaks that cycle completely, which is exactly why no appliance company has ever mentioned it. Here is the science they decided you did not need to understand. Salt is hygroscopic. That single word contains the entire mechanism. Hygroscopic materials attract and hold water molecules from the surrounding air at the molecular level. Sodium chloride maintains a surface vapor pressure lower than the vapor pressure of humid air around it. Water molecules migrate from the higher pressure humid air toward the lower pressure salt surface. This is not a chemical reaction. It is basic physics operating according to a pressure gradient that requires no energy input, no moving parts, and no maintenance schedule. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Building Engineering confirmed that unglazed sodium chloride panels used as passive humidity regulators in enclosed spaces reduced relative humidity by an average of 38% over 72 hours compared to unregulated control rooms. The reduction was consistent across a humidity range of 65 to 85%, exactly the range that drives mold growth, dust mite proliferation, and respiratory irritation in residential buildings. 38% humidity reduction from a material that costs $2 per kilogram. Now compare that to a mid-range electric dehumidifier, purchase price $180 to $350. Running 8 hours daily through a humid summer month costs $19 to $43 in electricity alone. Filter replacements add $25 to $60 annually. Average compressor lifespan is 4 to 7 years before failure. Total 5-year ownership cost, $400 to $900. Total 5-year cost of a salt-based passive system for the same room, under $15. If you have made it this far, you already know more about humidity control than 99% of people standing in the appliance aisle right now. Subscribe and share this with someone who is about to spend $300 on a machine a $2 rock replaces. Everything the industry buried is inside the complete vault. The link is waiting in the description. Stay with me. The heaviest part is next. So why does no one sell this openly? Why does no hardware store employee point you toward the salt aisle when you ask about humidity? The answer is not complicated. It is just deliberately invisible. The global dehumidifier market is controlled by a handful of major manufacturers: Frigidaire, Home Labs, Midea, LG, Honeywell. Everyone depends on a model built around units that consume electricity, require filter maintenance, and fail within a predictable replacement window. Rock salt cannot be patented. Sodium chloride has been a known compound since before recorded history. You cannot attach a subscription to a mineral that forms naturally in the earth. You cannot generate $15 billion annually from something a customer buys once for $2 and recharges in the sun. The industry did not ban salt. That would require acknowledging it works. Instead, they simply removed it from every conversation about humidity. The dehumidifier aisle gets prominent placement. Salt stays in the food aisle and no one connects the two. That disconnection is worth billions. Here is exactly what to do right now. Step 1. Go to any hardware store, garden center, or bulk food supplier and purchase a block of rock salt or a bag of coarse, non-iodized salt. Himalayan pink salt blocks sold as lamp bases work identically and are widely available. 1 kilogram costs $2 to $4. Step 2. Place the salt block or a bowl of coarse salt in any room experiencing high humidity. Basements, bathrooms, closets, storage rooms, tents, vehicle interiors, position it away from direct airflow and away from walls. The salt needs air contact on all surfaces to work at maximum efficiency. Step 3. Monitor the block over the first 72 hours. In high humidity environments, you will notice the surface becoming damp or slightly wet. This is the salt doing its work, pulling moisture from the air and holding it on the surface. Step 4. When the block or container feels saturated, remove it and allow it to dry completely in direct sunlight for 4 to 6 hours. The moisture evaporates, the salt returns to full hygroscopic capacity. Place it back and repeat. The same block recharges and operates indefinitely. Step 5. For serious humidity problems in basements or storage spaces, use multiple blocks placed at intervals of roughly 10 square feet per kilogram of salt. A basement of 200 square feet needs approximately 8 to 10 kilograms of salt. Total cost $16 to $40. One time. No electricity, no replacement schedule. A homeowner in coastal Georgia documented this across one full summer. His basement had registered 78% relative humidity in June, the threshold at which mold becomes structurally inevitable. He placed 12 kilograms of rock salt in ceramic bowls across the floor. By late July, his gauge read 51%. His words, "I have spent 4 summers fighting that basement with a machine costing me $60 a month to run. $12 of salt did more in 3 weeks. One honest boundary: salt passive systems work best in enclosed or semi-enclosed spaces. In large open areas with constant fresh air infiltration, incoming moisture can exceed what a passive system manages alone. Combine salt with improved ventilation for those situations, but for every closed room, storage space, tent, vehicle interior, basement, bathroom, and closet, salt handles what a $300 machine handles with 0 energy and 0 maintenance." This knowledge did not vanish. It was reclassified, moved from the home management section of common knowledge into the grocery aisle, where no one would think to look for a humidity solution. Your great-grandmother kept a salt block in her root cellar not because she had read a study, because she had watched the rot spread through every neighbor's cellar that lacked one. The physics have not changed. The humidity has not changed. The $15 billion industry has simply made very sure that the connection between a $2 rock and a dry room stays invisible for as long as it possibly can. The rock is still there on the shelf. The physics still work the same way they worked in a Pakistani salt mine 3,000 years ago. And now, so do you. If this vault opened something for you, subscribe to Lost Skills and share this with one person. Every share puts this knowledge back where it belongs. The next vault opens soon. What is inside is heavier than this one.